Hey everybody, thanks for joining us here on this Wednesday morning. I'm Meteorologist Chris Bianchi with a detailed look at that upcoming snowstorm you've probably already heard about. And by the way, I'm going to have our final, just freshly finished forecast numbers coming up for you here in just a second. Again, we just polished these off here, so hot off the presses, final snowfall total forecast numbers for you here in just a moment. But first things first, kind of want to start things off by taking a look at Denver right now. And if you woke up this morning here and around the metro area, you notice we actually had a lot of sunshine as we got going here on this Wednesday morning. But over the course of the last 2 hours, that cloud cover has really thickened on up, and that is out ahead of our next big snowstorm. And here in Denver, we are under a winter storm warning for just the second time this winter season. We're expecting around 4 to 8 inches of snow for most of the metro area. I'm going to have more details on those exact numbers here in just a second. As I mentioned, those numbers are fresh, hot off the presses. So I have more details on that here in just a second. But a winter storm warning is in place from this afternoon through tonight and into the early morning hours for your morning tomorrow. So let's start things off with a bit of a broad view in terms of the radar imagery. We're seeing some snow on up into the mountains, Vail Pass, the Eisenhower Tunnel, the foothills starting to see a little bit of snow. I know we've gotten a few reports up into Fraser as well as east into the west side of Fort Collins of a few flakes starting to fly up that way. But right now, most of that heavier snow is west of the Continental Divide and really kind of west of Vail Pass at this point. Closer look in here at the Denver metro area, and that snow gradually going to fill on in here as we head over the course of the next 1 to 3 hours. I do expect in Denver and throughout the urban corridor that most of us will be seeing those flakes flying probably by about 1 or 2 o'clock, and with accumulating snow starting up somewhere between about 3 and 5 o'clock mid this afternoon. So we've still got a bit of time to go. So if you need to make that run to the grocery store, get that doctor's appointment in, even if you're flying out of DIA, you're going to be okay for the next 2 to 3 hours, I think, is when we'll start to see, again, those impacts really kind of start to thicken on up as we get into the mid part of this afternoon. Again, the foothills probably starting to see some flakes flying up into Evergreen, Morrison, Boulder, Golden, the west side of Arvada, and those flakes will gradually work their way down into the metro area. Now, broad view statewide, what we can expect as we head over the next few hours, most of the state, and by the way, this is an important point here as well, is that most of the state will be seeing that snowfall. And if you've been kind of monitoring what we've been talking about over the course of the last few weeks, Denver and the urban corridor has been hit very hard by a lot of this snow. The mountains, if you've done any sort of skiing or snowboarding up that way, the mountains have had basically no snow since the first week of January. So we really, really need the snow up in the mountains. And the good news with this storm system is we should see a few inches of snow into the mountains as well. So it's not just going to be the Front Range that gets the snow from the snow event. It's also going to impact the mountains. And again, that is good news. We really do need the snow, need a good storm up in the mountains. And this is going to be a middling storm for the mountains. It's not going to be a big snow event up that way. But again, we'll take every flake we can get into the mountains, and we should see at least some of that snow reaching our friends into the mountains. Now, as we head through tonight, the heaviest snow through most of the urban corridor, including Denver, will be between about 5 and 10 p.m. tonight. So again, right around the edge of that, the back edge of that evening commute until around 10 p.m. tonight, that is going to be the worst of it. Colorado Springs, Pueblo, your snow will be more after dark tonight. By the way, mountains, it's going to be snowing there throughout the nighttime hours there as well. So if you do have to travel on 285 or I-70, I would expect that chain laws will be in place up that way. And if you can avoid it, certainly wait until tomorrow to travel into the mountains, because it's going to be a lot better come tomorrow morning into the mountains. That snow done basically statewide by the time the sun rises early tomorrow morning. Then we get a few more flakes potentially as we get into your Friday, but most of the snow done not only by tomorrow morning, but then we should stay snow-free statewide until the start of next week. All right, let's take a closer look in here at the metro area, what we can expect. As I mentioned, I do think here in Denver that our snow begins between about, I would say about 12:30 and maybe 2:30 or so here in the Denver area. Starting to probably see a few flakes flying on up into the foothills at this point. Boulder, Evergreen, Golden, certainly as you get on up into Nederland, Estes Park, Rocky Mountain National Park, I would not be surprised if you're seeing a few flakes already flying outside your windows at this point. Maybe you have to squint a little bit, but you're probably seeing a few flakes out that way at this point. Now, Denver, nothing yet. In fact, I'm looking outside our windows here at Spear and Logan in downtown Denver right now. No snow yet for us here in Denver, but again, between about, I would say, 12:30 and 2:30, we'll see those flakes flying with accumulating snow starting right around here. This is why I've stopped our forecast radar right around 3 o'clock, because that's when I expect our snow to really get going here in Denver. As you'll probably notice it starting to stick to car tops, grassy surfaces by about 3, 4 o'clock. I think roads mainly stay wet for the front part of the storm system. I think it's not until here, around 5 or 6 o'clock, where two things happen. One, much heavier snow kicks in, and two, the sun goes down. So we'll lose the sun angle, and that should allow that snow to really start to stick onto those roadways very quickly here by, again, 5:30, 6 o'clock or so. And I think there's going to be a big difference between what you see between about, say, 3:30 and 4:30 and what you see between 5:30 and 6:30. So you got to go to the doctor's appointment. You got to make that run to the grocery store. Do it, again, between about 2 and 4 o'clock, because by 5 o'clock, 5:30, those conditions really go downhill in a hurry across the urban corridor, including us here in Denver. So just keep that in mind. Conditions really go downhill around 5, 6 o'clock, and then we'll see things, again, continue to stay on the nasty side as we head through the rest of the evening. So again, just keep that in mind. Tonight, the worst of the snow will be between about 5 and 10 p.m. tonight, and then that snow does start to dwindle somewhere between about 10 and midnight tonight, and by early tomorrow morning, just a few flakes left over. And by the time you wake up tomorrow morning, as I mentioned, we may even have sunshine in place here across the Denver area, but the snow should be long over and done with. That said, I would anticipate quite a few school delays. I would think this would be more of a delay kind of event, not much in the way of school closures, but certainly some delays in place for your Thursday morning. Now, I mentioned those snowfall totals. We've just released these, and this is what I think we're going to be looking at here in Denver, between about 4 and 8 inches in the city proper, closer to 4 inches east out by DIA, out by 225. There is the potential for some localized banding to boost some of these totals that we're showing you right here, closer to about 8 inches as you get onto the west side of the metro area. Golden, Morrison, Conifer, Boulder, I think that's where you're looking at 7, 8 inches, if not maybe even a bit more in some localized areas, some of those favored east-facing slopes. Again, want to emphasize the fact that we're going to have some localized bands in here, so don't be surprised here in maybe even downtown Denver where we'll end up closer to 6, 7, 8 inches. But I do think downtown, probably around 6 inches would be my last second guess. You get north and you get east of Denver, and that's where you start to see those totals drop, probably closer to about 3, 4, 5 inches up by Fort Collins, Keensburg, Fort Morgan, Kiowa. That's where you're, again, looking at probably, again, 3, 4, 5 inches before all is said and done. Now, this is another kind of interesting thing. This has me thinking we may end up on the higher end of these snowfall totals. Right now, current temperature at DIA, just 27 degrees for us. Now, the forecast computer models had us up in the mid-30s today, about 35, 36 degrees. But a closer look in here at the metro area, those temperatures stuck in the upper 20s, maybe around 30 degrees right now. And that means very, very likely here, folks, that we are not going to get up above freezing today. And that means that that snow may stick a bit quicker than what we were anticipating. And that could mean we end up with slightly higher snowfall totals from this event. And again, something to watch for. I do think that we're going to end up probably in the higher end of some of those ranges that we were just showing you a second ago. I wouldn't be surprised if downtown Denver ends up at 7, 8 inches from this, but probably about 6 should do it here in downtown. West side of the metro area, again, as I was mentioning, 7, 8, 9, 10 inches probable out that way, including Boulder, including Evergreen, including Conifer, as well as even, say, the west side of Littleton, Kent Carroll, and you head on north to Morrison. That's where you're probably looking at maybe some double-digit totals being possible. Now, official totals, remember, they're kept at DIA, Denver International Airport. We're at 24.7 inches worth of snowfall. 24.4 inches have fallen since New Year's Eve. So basically everything has come since the start of the calendar year here in Denver. We will be adding to this total. I would guess we'll end up somewhere around 28, 29 inches officially at DIA once this snowstorm is all said and done. And once we look beyond tomorrow, well, we've got much nicer conditions in store for the weekend. We'll melt off that snow pretty quickly Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then early next week, it looks like we're going to get much colder temperatures than what we've been talking about. This snowstorm, for example, is not going to be a particularly cold snowfall event. The one next week looks to be a lot colder and also a bit more long-lived, but also a lighter snowfall event. So maybe a 1 to 3, 2 to 4 inch type of snow event for Monday and Tuesday of next week. But something we'll have to watch for because it could last a little while longer. And again, a colder snow event from that one as well. So hopefully it's giving you a pretty good overview about what we can expect as we head over the course of the next 24 hours or so. Again, this snow should be long done by the time you wake up tomorrow morning, and I think in Denver, 4 to 8 inches should do it, but some west side totals, I wouldn't be surprised somebody comes in with 10 or 11 inches from this once all is said and done. So pretty good little snowstorm, right? Not bad at all. And our Snowbuary, right? Get what I did there? All right, I'll leave the dad jokes at home. Our snowy February continues here. We've already picked up 6.5 inches of snow officially so far this month. We will be adding to that total as we head over the course of the next few hours. Worst of those conditions will be on the back end of the evening commute. The worst of it will be between about 5 and 10 p.m. tonight. The snow starting up in the next 2 to 3 hours here in Denver. Stay safe out there. We're going to have continued updates right here on 9 News Watch as we head through the rest of your day. I'm Meteorologist Chris Bianchi. Stay safe out there. And again, we'll see you right back here on 9 News Watch.